Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is episode 22 of the CLG Faithful Podcast. I'm your host, Nefarious, and man, it's good to be back.
Yeah, bud. Welcome back. I am Artrin. How are you guys all doing this evening?
Man, I missed this 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been like 2 weeks without you. It's been so much work. I had to do it all myself, man. All myself. It's actually not been that bad.
But it does get pretty busy when we've got, everyone playing and everything, and then the academy teams play, and you're like,
Yeah, especially trying to find all the info, like when, CLG Academy CSGO, CLG Academy League are playing, Overwatch plays, and then League plays, and CSGO plays, Smash plays. It's just, luckily, while you were gone, not everyone played, so it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been.
Yeah. Let's just go right into it, though.
So we've got some news for you on CLG. We have a new streamer.
Yeah, so who is it? I can't pronounce the
name. His name is HJ Tenchi. He is a full-time variety streamer, and you can check him out at twitch.tv/HJ Tenchi.
So variety streamer just means that he plays a bunch of different games?
Yeah, exactly. So he's not like one specific game, he's not like Trick2G initially was, where he was a League of Legends streamer. Now Trick2G's kind of picked up PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds as well as some H1Z1. But yeah, he's going to play a variety of games. So you could pop into his stream one day and he could be playing like Darkest Dungeons, and then the next day maybe he's playing League of Legends. Who knows?
All right. Yeah. I do know that we have a official CLG Steam group now.
Yeah, there is a Steam group officially run by Counterlogic Gaming. And if you join, we'll put a link in the description of the show notes here. But if you click and join that Steam group, you can actually, there's a link there. It's like clg.gg/Steam or something like that. And you can join a giveaway to win one of the brand new 5-Hour Energy Grape jerseys, as well as some other sweet prizes.
Yeah, you can also just go to Steam.
Yeah, and just search CLG.
Community tab, I believe, go to search groups, and you can search CLG or Counterlogic Gaming. You should be one of the first ones that comes up.
And it'll say CLG or Counterlogic Gaming official. They had to tack in the official at the end. I guess there was probably an unofficial one that was already made.
I mean, you'll know it's the real one when you see our names in it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah. As for the giveaway, just to make sure, this is as of the time of this recording, so
yes,
it might already be out by the time the podcast gets to your ears.
I believe it is until Wednesday morning. So we usually launch this podcast on the Tuesday, which will be July 4th, and the contest runs until July 5th. Yes.
Right. Let's go. It was good to know.
Yeah, just so you know, if you're hearing this right now and it is release day, Tuesday, July 4th, or Monday, July 3rd, if you are one of our YouTube subscribers and you get knowledge of things coming out in advance, you can basically go check it out. There's not that many entrances, and you can get like 15 entries yourself. So if you click all the little buttons, it's a gleam.io one. So you get a good fair chance of winning something.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's start things off with some NALCS.
Yes.
This is one thing I have definitely missed.
Oh, I can imagine. And you have missed quite a good show, too. Like, the last 2 weeks, man, have been fantastic. So we can only hope that this week will be amazing as well.
I do know that something fun going on with the standings right now.
Ooh, yes. That is very true. So this week, all LCS, really, CLG's on the top. We were tied for Immortals for first for a while until we played them last week, and then they got sole possession of first place. But Immortals on Thursday played TSM, and they got crushed 2-0.
Well, not only that, then they got up against, I believe it was Phoenix 1.
Yeah, they did. They played Phoenix 1 and lost.
Mike Young.
Oh, man, that Nidalee. Oh,
Mike Young.
Mike Young went 9-0 as Nidalee. I was like, well, and that's why you ban Nidalee from Mike Young. It's kind of like banning Aurelion Sol against Huhi. Maybe that can run us into match 1 versus Cloud9, hey?
Oh, so So Cloud9, if you recall back to the very first game of this split, you know, they decided to try something like, you know what? It's been a whole new split. I wonder if who he's any good on Aurelion Sol. Maybe he's the kid. He hasn't played it recently or something. First game. No, he's still probably one of the best Aurelion Sols in the world, if not the best.
The best, probably. I mean, Faker's probably even with Huhi on Aurelion Sol.
I've never seen
I don't think I've seen him play it competitively. I don't know. Faker's played like almost every single champion in the freaking game competitively.
I believe the only other main players that come to mind are Fly and Kuro.
Yeah. But they are not nearly as good as Huhi.
Right. So going into game 1, Reaper's like, you know what? Let's leave up Aurelion Sol. And we'll get into why people do that, right? Because you can't just ban it every time. No. But going into the games, we see Darshan on the Kled.
Yep.
We see the usual flex pick Gragas come out. This time it goes to Dardoch.
Yep.
Uhi on the Star Dragon, of course, as always. 6A on the Tristana. No Rage Blade this time.
No, actually, that's right.
No. And Aphromu pulling out the Morgana.
Yeah, and now last week you will remember that Aphromu didn't have the best weekend on Morgana. However, this weekend is a little different.
Right. So, going to this game, Dardoch actually has a really clever level 1. I guess CLG in general should be credited at least level 1. So what Dardoch does is that he starts Body Slam on the Gragas and CLG's blue side. So what Dardoch does is he goes into the Baron Pit, Body Slams over the wall, and wraps around so they can go and cut off the enemy top laner. In this case, Impact on the Rumble.
Yep.
So Impact is sitting in the bush, and the prediction is that he will be there. So when COG goes up there, he gets surprised, gets caught off, and dies, and then COG gets first blood.
Yes.
From there, COG basically gives Impact the direst treatment. who he goes top and gets the roam off. Impact dies, and you just really see them continue to punish Impact for this.
They really did.
He just can't get into the game.
He had such a terrible game in game 1. It was unfortunate to see.
Absolutely. Now, he continues to go out and make roams, but because of this, he's farming up a storm. He's getting super strong really fast, and if he gets a really good shockwave, it could really turn the tables for Cloud9.
Yeah, and I want to say right now, C9, or just watching the Orianna play mid, I don't know what it is with Orianna mid right now, but both Bjergsen and Jensen made really bad mistakes as Orianna this weekend. Watching them play Orianna and blow ultimate, flash, and all their abilities to try and 100-0 a mid laner and fail spectacularly.
And that's surprising because both are
very mechanical
players.
So not only did Jensen attempt that on Huhi multiple times this game, but Bjergsen as well as TSM played Immortals. And it blew my mind that they overcalculated the damage so much, both like every time, that they blew ultimates. And what ends up happening is that now your jungler and top lane are basically like, well, okay. Or sorry, you blow your Orianna ult, and then the enemy team's like, okay, Orianna has nothing to disengage us with. Let's go kill her. And that's what happens.
Right.
The ult goes down, and then they engage.
Well, speaking of Orianna ults, there was a particular fight in bot lane, and this actually starts off with COG trying to make a play, and then Cloud9 turning it. Both TPs are used, and pretty much everyone is onto the bottom of the map. Now, Jensen has a pretty good shockwave, but in the end, he decides to come in, and he just does he thinks, and cleans up, and he gets a quadra kill.
That was so beautiful. It was an unofficial quadra kill as well. It did not end up counting.
No, it wasn't an actual quadra kill.
It was.
He got 4 actual kills credited to him for it.
He did, but it didn't pop up as quadra kill, did it? I thought
it did.
It did. Oh, it did. Maybe that's another game.
Yeah, so he actually got all 4 quadra kills, and all of a sudden, he is just an absolute monster in this game. And you know what happens when Hui gets those early roams off, and he becomes a monster.
Absolute monster.
So there's several, and this fight was particularly close because a few people on CLG's side, they just don't die. Aframo doesn't die. I believe it was Stardock just barely lives as well. Darshan is there, factually. He came in for the cleanup. And after that, it was just in CLG's favor. They've got the tempo. A little bit later on in the game, Cloud9 goes to Baron, and they're trying to make the Baron, right? And what happens? He cuts them off, and Cloud9, they throw at Baron. CLG gets a 5-0, clean ace, and they get the Baron. And it's just GG from there.
It is. They get the clean ace, they take the Baron, and they just end the game. It was just a stomp after that Baron kill. Like the ace and then the Baron kill. They mopped up. It was fantastic to watch.
Right. So then we move on to our nemesis.
Yes.
Game 2.
Game 2 is like anti-CLG. I don't know what it is.
I mean, this game was just CLG game 2.
It was so hype though, because not only does Darshan pick Jax, yes, Zion, Spartan, Jax, but Stixxay and Aframo play Jhin and Rakan. I'm like looking at the icon of it. I'm like, wait, who is that guy's name? Rakan.
Yeah, and Hui's on the Vladimir.
Yeah, Hui's on Vlad, which has been hit or miss. Very hit or miss.
I don't quite understand their team comp.
That was the issue for CLG. Their team comp just didn't make sense.
So explain to me, how does this work? Okay, so your bot lane is kind of weird. Like maybe Rakan goes in and then gets the knock up, and then maybe Jhin is able to layer it with the root and the trap.
It's all about the burst
maybe.
There. Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of hard to do. I don't like that lane, and whenever I play bot lane, I'd much rather get something else.
Mm-hmm.
Morgana, Jhin, or something like that.
I was confused when he picked Rakan because I hadn't actually noticed the Jhin pick yet, and because Jhin was picked first. But then Rakan was picked third, and it's like, oh, and Xayah hadn't been banned. So I was like, oh, are we going to get a Rakan Xayah? And then I realized that Jhin had actually been picked, and I was like, oh, why is he taking Rakan?
Right, and we see Hui on the Vladimir, and I believe in this one he doesn't even take Ghost. I believe he takes the Cleanse against the Syndra.
Okay.
I want to say he had Cleanse. I'd have to double check that.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, now how is Hui gonna go in? He doesn't have the Ghost for the speed up. There's no Kled. At least there you've got a little bit of synergy, things like that.
Yeah, it was one of those things where they were gonna rely heavily on a Darshan initiation, but neither of them really got to get going in this game. It was a breakdown.
Darshan does some good work early on.
He did.
And this is against Ray on the J4.
Yeah.
He's bullying Ray early on, the first few levels.
It was quite dominating.
After that, looks like I forgot to mute everything. Let me just do that real quick. All right. So Darshan is bullying Ray early on pretty well, and then he gets an early level lead, and he gets an early lead, and he TP's bot, and CLG gets a little bit of advantage from there. And then after that, they just can't do anything. Cloud9 gets all of the Drakes, including two, and then eventually 3 Mountain Drakes and an Inferno Drake. So they're going to burn down objectives super quickly. Caitlyn comes online. She gets her 4 items, and there's no way COG can ever get to Caitlyn.
Nope. Especially with Smoothie on Braum, it was just... And Smoothie never died the entire game. He was an impenetrable wall that never crumbled.
An unbreakable.
Unbreakable, yeah, there we go.
Right. So, that's that game.
Yeah. CLG lost. Needless to say, it was not a fun game to watch. There were the moments of kind of brilliance with Jack's early game, but after that, it was just, oh god, what are they doing?
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Even with the 1-3-1, you've got, maybe Vladimir pushing bot lane, who's not the best split pusher.
Well, the split push would always definitely, they're amazing at the 1-3-1 collapse, and at best, they would have been able to do a 1-4-0, because Vladimir really can't split push at all.
No. Right. So that's COG game
Yeah.
2. I think.
Well, we can leave it at that. Game 2, well, it's our arch nemesis. We always lose it.
All right. So then we go to game 3, which, COG game plan. Stop game 1 convincingly. COG is the best team in North America.
Yep.
Whatever.
And then
God, I muted this.
and then move on to game 3 and either win it completely convincingly.
You're missing a step 2, right? So step 1 is COG is going to stop. Oh my God, COG is the best team in NA.
Yeah.
Game 2 comes by. Never mind. Hold that thought.
What happened there? Sorry. Oh.
And then game 3 is, let's just have a super messy fiesta of a game. Yeah. It's going to be super bloody.
And then we'll...
CLG heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. Typical CLG heart attack roller coaster. Except, not quite this game 3. This game 3...
Right.
Actually, while it is a very close game, it is very convincingly CLG.
Right. So just going a little bit into it, there are 2 bans thrown Huhi's way. Yep. One with the Aurelian Soul and the Ari.
Yep.
And I'm going to guess the Galio ban was not towards Huhi. I think that's just a general ban.
Yeah. It's just a general.
So
the general Galio ban is more just we don't want to play against it.
And interestingly enough, Cloud9 first picks their mid lane, which is the Syndra, and they give the Orianna over to Huhi.
Yeah.
And some people have mentioned, like Mark Zimmerman's mentioned a couple of times that Huhi may not be the best Orianna player in NA, but the way COG works with Orianna is probably the best in NA.
Exactly.
And in this one, Dardoch was just the ball delivery system on the rec side.
So beautiful. It was just like every time those two were together, Huhi would put the ball on Dardoch and Dardoch would tunnel underneath, get the knock-up, and then instantly after the knock-up, they were sucked right in by the
or just the flash knock-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight up.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. If only we had Darshan top with Yasuo.
That's a throwback right there.
Yes.
Right. So going into this game, COG has another really good level 1. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they leash the... okay, so what Dardoch does is he takes the small chickens and he leaves the big one up. And then he takes the red buff, which is given a hard leash from the COG bot lane. And then from there, he takes part of the Krugs. I believe it's just the first 2 Krugs. Yeah. And then he lets the camp reset from there. And this gets him at level 3, while the opposing bot lane is level 1.
It was so
actually
brutal.
both bot lanes are level 1.
Yeah.
And because they're giving a hard leash, the enemy bot lane is going to be pushing in because they want to get that level 2 first and press their advantage. Yep. So because they're level 1, they're pushing in. It's a super easy gank. And they're able to get a level 1 play off of that.
And what also helps is that they weren't really expecting it. This is a trick that's only going to work once. And or at least for a while.
Riot's going to nerf it.
I mean, but the thing is
if you saw the next day, other teams started to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, they copied us. That the thing is...
Well, we copied someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing with this trick is that the bottom lane sees that the opposing bottom lane is missing. And so they do the push to get to level 2 to be able to press the advantage. But what that kind of tells the enemy team is that, okay, their jungler is taking red first. They're going to finish at blue and they're going to be top lane. So be careful top lane. Keep an eye up there. Jungler, stick around top lane to do support. But the complete opposite happened in that Dardoch was bot lane and it wasn't even warded. Because who wards that early? If you ward that early, then you are basically saying that in 3 minutes, we want to be blind.
Yeah, this is really brutal. And Riot, I guarantee they're going to do something about this. Yeah. Because at no point in the game should it be allowed that the jungler is able to hit level 3 and the enemy bot lane is level 1.
Yeah,
it's so
brutal. But, I mean, you know what? It happened, and it was 2-hour advantage, so I'm going to take it. It was a little wonky because Dardoch actually kind of waited really late to come in on the fight. And when they were watching it live, they had it so that they showed you what C9 was seeing, and they had no idea that Dardoch was there. But when they replayed it and showed what CLG saw, Dardoch actually waited for a short while and almost missed the engage. So... it was really weird because it ended up working really well in their advantage that he was late, but it also felt that they took unneeded risks on that if he had waited any longer, he would have had to flash under the turret.
Yeah. But, I mean, at any rate, they still get the first blood off of it. Mm-hmm. From there, there's a little bit of fighting back and forth. It's mostly favoring CLG, a bunch of small skirmishes. Yep. And then... I don't know. Like the game just goes in CLG's
It does. Favor. It just... They get the picks. You know, like, Stixay goes... He only goes 1, 0, and 8. But it didn't really matter because it was a Dardoch who he show. Basically, like, the ball delivery service was getting so many kills. Stixay was just there as support, basically. He goes 108, unkilled. Same with Huhi. Huhi goes 406. And it was just a very clean, very dominant game by CLG.
I guess one thing we should mention is how Dardoch does go and camp the top side. Yes. For Darshan a little bit, and Ray's never able to get going on that Gnar.
No.
And this is 7.12 Gnar, not the buff Gnar, who's going to be an absolute monster.
Yes.
In the current
patch.
And
one thing to say as well is that Ray had a few options, or a few times to be able to use the Gnar ult that he just didn't use it. And I think...
Or wasn't able
to utilize it effectively in certain situations, and that really kind of threw C9 down, kind of like just into the ditch, which was fantastic for us. I'm not going to say no.
So the only big issue is that near the end of the game, they're making a push to end the game. Ray's split pushing bot lane.
Yep.
And he's on the bot lane inhibitor turret. CLG has all the members on the top side, and they're trying to push in the inhibitor turret. They take the inhibitor turret, and they're going for the inhib. And then Darshan tries to make a flash taunt play onto Jensen's Syndra, and it's just barely out of range. If that lands, that game is probably over.
Yeah.
But it doesn't land, and Darshan goes and he gets killed from that. And it just extends the game a little bit longer. After that, CLG has a fight at mid lane, and they cleanly ace all of Cloud9.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then they push and they win the game. It was a clean game by CLG in general.
It really was.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say. This is a match that you saw and you think, all right, CLG is the better team.
Yeah, simply.
It's not that Cloud9's a bad team. Right?
Yep.
They're still definitely top 4 for sure, but it cements that CLG is definitely top 2 and then Cloud9 is third, 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to go back and touch on the Aurelion Sol ban I just mentioned earlier before we move on versus the series against Liquid. So, as always, people don't seem to have a read as to when CLG is going to play Aurelion Sol. They don't always pick it whenever it's up.
Yeah.
And they pick it into very situational matchups. The ones which I'm sure who he feels that he can win, he can make the impact on.
Yep. And I mean...
And if I had to guess, he probably has final say on whether that's a good matchup or not. I mean,
yes.
With Zix, obviously.
It's probably like Zix will turn to him and be like, Aurelion Sol? And who he will look and be like, no. And then Zix will be like, okay, I'll take your judgment on that. Because even game 2, there was no Aurelion Sol ban game 2. But or pick because C9 took Syndra mid. And Aurelion Sol into Syndra just isn't the best matchup for him. So they were probably hoping that he was going to first pick Aurelion Sol or something. And then
CLG is never first picked Aurelion Sol. It's almost always a last pick when they can counter pick it. And it's very situational when they have good side lanes that he can roam to and he can apply pressure on the map.
Exactly. It's going to be that perfect comp and they just didn't play it.
Right. So no one seems to know when CLG is going to play it. They don't always pick it up whenever it's there. So you can't just say, well, you have to ban Aurelion Sol every single time against CLG.
Exactly.
And the other point is, at this point, most of the teams in NCS have some sort of pocket pick. And you're like, well, I can't just waste a ban on a pocket pick. High can always pull out Zed. Bjergsen can always pull out Syndra or whatever. Or, Svenskeren on the Lee Sin. Yep. You have to learn how to play around some of the champions at some point, but, when they get it, it's always a question of, well, you should have banned it. But...
You should have banned it. It's like, but we didn't know that they were going to pick it. We can't just ban it.
All right.
Anyways, let's move on to match 2 this weekend.
Yeah, and speaking of bans on Rally and Soul.
Yeah.
Oh, we're picking bans?
Ban. Team Liquid, man.
They're not having any of that.
Also known as Team Laugh Out Loud. That's what I'm calling them. Team Laugh Out Loud. I don't know. They're just...
I just call them Team Losing.
Team Losing as well. Like...
Man, I just feel pity for the fans.
I do. You know, I feel pity for Piglet. This guy was like world-class 80 carry, comes over to North America, picked up.
That guy's back is probably broken from all the clearing he's trying to do this split. He's actually trying to play out of his mind, and it's just that.
Poor
it's
guy.
just him.
Yeah, it's just him. I mean, you know, you got Golden Glue, Rainover, and Lorlo on the team, but it's just, I don't know what's wrong with Liquid, but...
No one does. And Golden Glue actually played really well this game, I thought.
Game 1, he actually played really well. He outplayed
on the Corki.
Sure.
He had more damage. He had more damage than anyone else on his team. Now, okay, so let's talk game 1.
Yeah.
Right. So what does CLG do? So of course they start with a Gragas flex pick, whatever. Team Liquid takes the Caitlyn immediately for Piglet. I mean, he's the one who's going to carry the team. You expect that. CLG does some interesting stuff. So they take the Gragas first, and they also lock in the Ashe. And then after that, they lock in the Kassadin.
Yeah, which is a weird lock-in. I mean, it's Kassadin, right? Kassadin is always a powerhouse late game. It's his early game, mid game that really, you know, he needs to get going. But locking it in second pick is a little almost...
No, they've already shown their mid laner. You know it's going to be against Corki.
Yeah, you know it's going to be against Corki. But at the same time, like, I don't know, because Kassadin's shield is only magic damage. So,
but it works really well against Corki because pretty much everything he does at this point is now magic damage. That's true, especially after the recent changes.
Yeah, that's true. He does a lot of magic damage.
So interestingly enough, COG also locks in the Zyra for Afro, which I know I've mentioned my dislike for many times, and I have a very strong preference on seeing him on something else.
And then, I mean, fourth pick, Darshan,
and then
picks up Fiora.
Darshan split push special.
He picks up the Fiora.
This game is interesting. He's up against Renekton, and, you know, that's a skill matchup. It's in somewhat Renekton's favor early, you know, depending on the levels, but that 3 through 6, or I guess 3 through 4, he can really bully Fiora.
Yep.
Darshan does super well early game, and he bullies Renekton. And, so Dardoch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's just a complete lack of respect for Team Liquid or what he was thinking. So, Kassadin against Corki is not a winning matchup. Corki's always going to be pushed in onto Kassadin, and Kassadin can't join and help out first.
Yeah.
So Corki's always going to make the roam first. So what does Dardoch do? He goes and he doesn't invade onto Rainover's jungle, and quite naturally, what does Team Liquid do? They collapse. So he's red side, and he's kind of come back around, and right in front of the Rift Herald, there's a little skirmish that breaks out. He's at his turret. He can't come join, but Darshan. Oh man, Darshan.
Was it good?
Darshan, that's all.
It's just Darshan. I mean, the man on Fiora, he goes 9-1-6 this game. All right, so right here, he does eventually make it up. They try to get the collapse, and I believe Dardoch gives off the first blood right there. And then Huhi and Darshan try to clean up the thing as much as they can. Now, it's a 3v2 fight, but they get enough of the members of Team Liquid low enough, and it's really close, and it looks like it can go either way. Darshan gets a really good riposte off, I believe it was the Renekton stun, and the way he angles it is that he managed to hit all 3 people on Team Liquid, and they all get stunned up from there, which gives them just enough time for them to proc some more vitals and Huhi to clean up a kill. So Darshan gets 2 kills, and Huhi gets 1 kill. Or it's that, or Huhi gets 2... Actually, I think it was Huhi gets 2 kills and Darshan gets 1. Yeah.
I could be flipped on that. Because I remember Huhi coming back, and he's got a Rout of Ages at, like the 12-minute mark? Something like that?
That's ridiculous.
Something ridiculous. So at this point, Golden Glue is obviously pissed off. He's like, what the hell?
Yep.
I can't do anything now.
Nope.
This is not fun. And I believe who he had double buffs on top of that as well.
Double buffs on a Kassadin is just brutal. Unlimited sustain.
And then Darshan gets to skip that phase where Fiora's weak, and he comes back with, I believe it was a Tiamat.
Oh gosh.
And Lorlo, I think he already had to waste his TP earlier, if I'm correct. And he comes back, I think it was just a longsword.
Oof. That is such a huge downside.
Yeah, so this game is already falling apart there. The only shining light is Piglet and Matt, who are destroying our bot lane. Aphromoo is forced to burn an early flash, level 1, and I believe Stixley also has to use the heal.
Mm-hmm.
And they use the exhaust, so they get those summoners out, and they take the first turret gold.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, as you can tell, CLG wins this game. It's funny though because Team Liquid actually had 3 Mountain Drakes at one point, and CLG only had a Cloud Drake. So it's like, an Ocean Drake. It's just like Liquid seemed to be doing so much right, but then they did like a Dignitas, really, like just.
I don't know if you can call it Dignitas. CLG were just manhandling them across the map. Darshan gets solo kill bot lane. He takes more turrets. He's becoming a little more greedy on the Fiora. Yep. So instead of joining his team like he usually does, he continues to split push. Takes more turrets that way. I think they do a little bit of turret trading once. But in the end, CLG's so far ahead, this game is over. Yeah. There's nothing more to it. Team Liquid, so CLG tries to make a push, and they've got their 1-3-1. No one can 1v1 Darshan or Huhi, so you have to send 2 people at least to fight them, at which point your remaining 3-man squad is going to go and fight that one person left on the other turret.
Just get wrecked.
Now, I believe CLG reached just a little bit too far, and Team Liquid is able to clean up some kills. Huhi's the only one left alive during that. But even so, it doesn't matter because CLG is so far ahead. They've got, I believe it was 2 waves of super minions.
Brutal.
So Team Liquid goes. They try to make the desperate play at Baron. CLG just gets a clean ace and the game's over.
They got Baron though. Team Liquid got the Baron.
Oh boy.
All right, so let's move on to game 2 then. Hey, like...
I don't think they got the Baron either.
Oh, no? I thought they got the last Baron.
No, they didn't.
Oh, jeez. Man, that's just brutal. Just freaking brutal.
Actually, I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We win. That's all that matters.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I will say this, though. During CLG's Baron power play, I believe they took 5 turrets.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's an incredible gold swing.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And then we approach our nemesis, which is game 2.
Game 2 nemesis.
Except this is against Team Liquid.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
What? Okay. This is
Narshan.
This is just this game, man, is just... I don't even know what to call it. Like, I don't know how Team Liquid lasted 30 minutes.
Right, so, okay, so here's what happens this game. This game is Narshan, the return of the Narshan. So Aurelia is the skill counter matchup, and Lorlo last year was pretty much that one-trick Aurelia guy, where he was able to really go on the Aurelia. Yep. And actually, the last time Aurelia was played in LCS was by Lorlo against Darshan on the Gnar.
Oh.
Darshan came up the victor last time. And he comes up the victor this time.
Brutally brutal victory. Like, Lorlo goes 0-6-0.
Yeah, so Dardoch gets the early camp off for his top laner, and Lorlo can't do anything about it.
No, he can't. It's kind of sad.
I mean, some of them, he misplayed, whatever, but even then, Darshan gets so far ahead, he can't do anything, and then once Gnar gets that frozen mallet, it just feels bad to play against.
It's just...
You don't get to play League of Legends
anymore. No,
you
don't, because Gnar you're never going to run away from him.
You just can't. His hyper procs and then the mallet slows, the boomerang slows.
It's brutal. Just so brutal.
So that happens there. Huhi has another pretty good game on the Orianna. Yeah. Doesn't die there.
Stixay.
Dardoch actually hasn't died. Stixay does his best reckless impression, and he was 905 on the 80 cannon.
I'm just like, 905 80 cannon, like, what, against Piglet on Ashe? I just like, oh man.
I don't know, like, there's nothing more to say.
There really isn't. Team Liquid, Team Losing, they lose 0-2,
and we are now top of the league.
We are
8-2.
Yes, 8-2 for CLG, top of the league, sole possession of top of the league because Immortals lost to TSM, and then they also lost to Phoenix 1. So we had an amazing weekend going 2-0.
Right,
very nice.
So the current standings are the Dark Square duo in first place. Then it's Bjergsen the forwards, tied with Mortals.
Yep. Bjergsen in the forwards.
Then there's Cloud9.
Cloud9, yep.
Followed by Team Downward Trend.
Team Downward Trend.
For those who know, that is the formerly the team carried by Someday.
Yep.
After that, it's Team Pity.
Team Pity.
That their time with Team Downward Trend. So that is Lyra and Co.
Oh man.
After that, it's Rick Fox.
Rick Fox.
Except you spell Fox Foxk.
Foxk.
After that, it's the Retirement Home.
The Retirement Home, yeah. Good old FlyQuest.
Sharing the Retirement Home spot in 8th place is Mike Young. No, that's it. That's the team.
Mike Young. It's Mike Young versus the world.
Steve. And then it's paid by Steve as last.
Paid by Steve. Yep.
Yeah. So Rift Rivals is actually going to be happening this week. I guess we'll mention it.
Yeah.
Because it's NAEU, whatever.
It's NA versus EU, but CLG's not there.
We're going to get stopped.
We are. Okay. It's not.
So maybe TSM could do something. Maybe Cloud9 could do something.
Maybe.
And then, but look at it this way. Mike Young is currently doing a 1v9.
Yeah.
So if we said just him, I mean, 1v5 is easier, right?
If he doesn't have 4 teammates to screw him. But, so, I mean, I was watching a little bit of the drive, and they mentioned this, that NA kind of gets a little screwed by Rift Rivals in terms of, so TSM and Immortals and Phoenix 1 are going, the top 3 teams. Who?
No, not Immortals. It's the top 3 teams of the last split. So TSM, Cloud9,
right.
Phoenix 1.
TSM, Cloud9, Phoenix 1, right. And so it's TSM and Cloud9 both left on Sunday to go to Berlin, where they actually lose like an entire day flying over. And Phoenix 1, though, they had to play LCS on Sunday. So they didn't get to leave until today, Monday. So they're not going to get in until Tuesday, and I believe everything starts on Thursday.
Man, look, we already have the NA excuse bag lining up when we suck.
Yeah,
we're sending one of our worst teams. TSM jet lag.
Yep.
What else do we got?
We got
Cloud9.
We got Bjergsen in the 4 wards. We've got Cloud9, and then we have I don't know, what do you call a dead Phoenix?
Phoenix down.
Except they're not reviving anything right now.
Yeah, but if Phoenix 1 managed to take any games, like, hey man, we're sending one of our worst teams. Yeah. What's wrong with the EU?
Phoenix up? Maybe that's what we'll call them. They're Phoenix up. And they put things down. I don't know.
I mean, it's going to be a fun event. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's going to be a fun event. Hopefully we can, win. That'd be nice.
And I say this not because NA is probably going to get their ass kicked, which they probably will, because it's going to be against UOL, G2, and Fnatic. Yeah. But whatever. It actually doesn't have any standing whatsoever.
The only thing I'll say is that EU is probably going to be like, haha, look, EU beat NA so bad, ha 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 ha. But it's like, you know what? We're not even sending our best teams to split. You guys are literally fighting middle of the pack teams against your top teams.
Which is why EU has to win, otherwise it's bad for them.
If EU doesn't win this, then it's basically like, okay, EU, so your best teams can't beat our middle of the pack teams. Lol. All right. Yeah. So that's it. We are top of the NA LCS amazing. Good stuff, CLG. How about League Academy?
Next.
Pass. Yeah. So...
Oh, man. I feel so bad for saying that.
I know. These guys, they're trying, and you can definitely see the improvements week by week. However...
So, this week they went up against E United.
And they got stomped.
And they got stomped.
Yeah, 0-2.
And then we went up against the Team Liquid of NA Challenger.
You can't call them the Team Liquid of NA Challenger because they are worse.
They're not paid by Steve.
They're not paid by Steve. They're like Team Retirement Fund. Like, it's just like, it's the meme stream dream team. Like, it's just nothing but a bunch of retired like LCS players who haven't played in years.
Yeah.
And they're having fun and getting paid.
Fox bad.
Yeah. So we 2-0'd them pretty dominatingly. That's where all our wins are coming from.
Yeah. I mean, I would go more into the games if they were worth mentioning,
but they're really not.
They weren't.
No.
It was kind of like our talk with the Team Liquid games.
Yeah.
We really could have just said, we were up against Team Liquid, and
you would have known.
That's all you need to know. Yeah. So moving on, we do have a club.
Yeah, we have a League of Legends club you guys can join. It is the tag, if you would like to know, is Heart CLG, less than 3 CLG. So you get to rep Love CLG for the CLG Faithful Podcast Club. You can join that if you would like by adding myself, Artren, ARTREN, or you can also add Nefarious, NEFARI0USS on League of Legends. We'll put those names down in the show notes as well. And send us an invite to be a friend, and we will invite you to the club, and you guys can rock it with us.
Yeah, we actually have quite a bit of space, though.
We do.
We have, I think, just 8 people right now.
8 or 9, something like that. I think I have a bit of a backlog of people. I have to go back and log in and see if they've accepted my request.
We definitely have space because the RCOG one is full.
Yep.
The second RCOG one is full. And I think the third one is full as well.
Yeah.
But I could be
wrong. They fill up
that.
Pretty quickly.
So any COG fans who want another club to join?
Come on over.
By all means, join the faithful.
Yeah. So let's move on to some CSGO. So in some really bad news with CSGO, our coach, I'm a Pet, parted ways with CLG, which really sucks because he was the coach. So, he's basically the Zeke's Law of CSGO. So he turned a bunch of underdog players into just a dominating team. Like, we were doing so well. Everything was like on the up and up. We got Ricky from Oceanic. We were playing really well, really good showing in a LAN event. And then
we had a good showing at Dreamhack.
Yeah,
too.
And then all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I got offered way more money to go play somewhere else. And he's like, I can't say no. And you know what? You can't blame him. Like,
I really can't.
You can't.
I mean,
it's esports.
I can't.
How can you not take the money while it's available? Because you have no idea if you're going to have a job in 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, there's none of this like, okay, I signed a 5-year contract, but what if CSGO dies? Like, just disappears. Or, what if the team I'm working for dissolves because they get knocked out of LCS and they no longer have any money?
Yeah. I mean, usually when you sign for a team, it's because there's certain things about the team that you really like and you think that it's in your advantage.
Yep.
Or you get a lot of leeway to do it.
Exactly.
Or you're just new and you want to prove yourself.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate that we have to say goodbye to I'm a Pet. I really want to thank you, man, for...
It's really unfortunate, as we're going to find out.
Yeah. So, you know what, man? Good luck wherever you are. We believe it is Optic Gaming, who also has a fellow Tarek player over there, Sub-Tarek. You know what, man? Thank you very much for the time you were here. You really helped build that team. And good luck. Good luck, man. All right. So we're going to move on to the DreamHack Atlanta closed qualifiers. So kind of what sounded like great news until the game started, was both CLG Main and CLG Academy both got into DreamHack Atlanta closed qualifiers. So CLG Main was invited to the closed qualifiers due to their previous work in DreamHack in Spain. And then CLG Academy won through a qualifier to get into another qualifier. They went through an open qualifier to get into this closed qualifier. That's how we'll word it. So so
they actually start on opposite sides of the bracket.
So because of that, they started on opposite sides of the brackets. Luckily, they didn't have to play each other right away.
And the hype ends.
Yeah, sorry guys. CLG.Blue.
It's all
so CLG Main, aka CLG.Blue, they came up against Ownage. Map 1 was Cash, and it started off really great. Ricky had an amazing pistol round. He got a clutch 2K, and they win the first round. Two rounds later in, and on an eco round for CLG because they lost the next round, Kusta got an amazing 4K with a freaking Tech 9. And wins the round for CLG. And then from there, basically goes back and forth, like 9-6, 6-9. It ends up going to double overtime. In the second half of OT, in a post-plant situation, Cutler gets an amazing 1v2 clutch to win the round. Unfortunately, though, CLG does go on to lose this one 20-22. Map 2 was Train, and not really a whole lot to say about this map, guys. Ownage... Well, they owned us. We went in even in the first half of Train 8-7, which is not something that should happen ever. Like, Train is very one-sided map in professional play. Unfortunately, the second half did not go similarly, and we got wrecked 2-9 on second half, and they win the map 10-16. That means...
Yes, this means that... Oh, go for it.
That means that CLG Main does not qualify for DreamHack Atlanta. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so on the other side of the map, the CLG Academy team goes up against Misfits, and the first map is going to be on Overpass. And, well, it's a 5-16, and that's all I'm going to say about that one.
Not a very good map.
Yeah, the next map is on Cash, and it's a promising 3-1 start. And why don't you just tell us from there, how it ends up?
Yeah, so Char got a really wicked double kill when taking the site to win the round. From there, though, it went rather back and forth. And then in round 22, scored 11-10. A proto, which with a freaking Mag 7, of all things. Like, if you see someone buy a Mag 7 in professional play, you're like, what are these guys doing? And it's desperation. He gets an amazing 3K defending bomb site A. Unfortunately, it is the last round that CLG wins that day, or one of the last rounds, sorry. They win one more. And Misfits takes the second map 13-16. That means CLG Academy does not qualify for DreamHack Atlanta, which kind of sucks. Both teams go out in the quarterfinals of DreamHack Atlanta closed qualifiers. And truthfully, it wasn't a great showing. It wasn't a great showing by either of them. Like the first map against Ownage and it going to overtime, Ownage is
and you can understand the Academy team not doing well because they're not the main team. You expect them to be
and they're up against
obviously still developing players,
and they're up against Misfits, which is a very very solidified concrete team. Ownage, though, is a team that formed 33 hours, roughly, before DreamHack Atlanta, and we lost 0-2 against them with just...
Would have been nice if we had a
we did. Coach Mike, I think his name is Coach Mike, I believe. I don't want to screw your name up, but so I'm looking up. Yeah, Coach Mike. Not quite as good as Coach I'm a Pet, I guess. I mean, it was last something
last minute.
Yeah, so it sucks, but you know what, man? It just shows it was an online tournament, so who knows? Maybe if we get into the next LAN event, we will do a little better.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a shame that Amonpet couldn't stay on for at least the qualifiers.
Yeah,
but, I mean, contracts are contracts.
You gotta abide by them. So that sucks. So
hopefully.
Yeah.
hopefully we can rebuild again.
Yeah.
I mean, not the entire core, but at least get a very strong coach and go back to putting on strong performances.
Need a loud voice back there.
I liked having CLG taking names.
Yeah, especially like Fnatic and Gambit, like 2 legendary names in CSGO, and we take them to, like, we win, we beat them.
Who doesn't want to watch 5x overtime?
Right? Who doesn't want that? Like, that's, as long as that's going to be, especially for the players, that is basically on the edge of your seat the entire, like, extra hour you're watching CSGO. It's just, it's great. It's great for the viewers.
Hey, man. My premiums are going through the roof.
Yeah. Too many heart attack meds. Holy crap. All right, so let's move on to some Smash. There wasn't actually any Smash played this week with CLG members playing. However, in a great Smash 4 news, I personally think, NACAT has made it back to the top 50, placing 42nd on the Panda Global Rank V3 ladder. Now, NACAT commented on this and appreciated the love, but he isn't proud of the ranking. As per his Twitter, he still believes he needs to, and I quote, "stop being ass so I can revisit my former self. That is my goal." So let's go, NACAT, man. We know you can make it back to number 1 or number 2 with Void at number 1, or, vice versa. It would be great to see the CLG boys kind of duking it out for first place on those global rankings.
Yeah, one thing I really enjoy about all of our Smash players is that you can tell they really take the losses personally.
They do.
And they have that desire to win.
It's the same with like our League of Legends teams. They're very vocal about it. And
CSGO or
all
Overwatch.
of them.
Just the whole org.
Yeah.
They've always had that desire to win, but ever since Trinity's come on board, I think they've been much better at executing what they plan on doing.
Exactly.
And the ambition really shows.
And when they do lose, especially when they really aren't expected to lose, they really take that seriously and kind of just put their heads down, get going good, and then just show back up. Yeah.
Yeah, so to end things off, we've got just some Overwatch news, which... so Silk Thread is supposed to be replacing Waffletastic in the DPS position as per over.gg.
Yes.
Now, this is not confirmed on any official COG sources, such as their website or any of the Twitter feeds. So, I just want to put that out there, but until we get an official source, I just want to put that disclaimer.
Yep. Now, over.gg is a pretty big Overwatch website, and, they're pretty good about stuff. But, that is... It's been kind of something that's been rumored to be going around. Silk Thread, I think, played a couple of Overwatch games for us as sub
during some contenders
for Waffletastic. So it just hasn't been confirmed officially. Yes. Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's all we've got for this
That
week.
is this week's. Holy crap, we have been going for almost an hour. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good.
It's fun to be
It's
back.
good to have you back. That's definitely. It's nice that we got the two sides of the conversation going. It makes for a much more entertaining listening experience, I think.
It's probably more fun to record.
It is. It's a little more fun. You can pump one of those recordings out on, I had like 15, 20-minute recordings, just boom, 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 everything's done. But, when we're sitting here talking and like you guys can see two people who really love the CLG organization, kind of like sharing that love. It's good to do. Yeah.
Wait, you're not paid from the org?
I wish I was paid by the org.
Yeah, I wish.
That'd be nice. Hey, Devin. Or Trinity.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. Hey. Oh. All right, guys. So the CLG Faithful podcast is a weekly podcast that does go over all things CLG, as you have just done today. If you do enjoy what we are doing, please take a few moments to follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, or give us a ratings on iTunes. That would also be awesome. And we do love getting feedback, so you can send us your thoughts, and we promise we will respond.
Yep, you can contact us on the COG Faithful Twitter account, just at COG Faithful, or you can email us at cogfaithful@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Or if you really want to, we'll put a Discord link in the show notes as well. You can join in there and chat with us all week long. We are always watching it and would absolutely love to chat with some of our fans.
Yeah, we actually have a pretty lively chat during some of the game days.
Yeah, it's actually pretty great,
So,
and it's not full of memes.
So come join us there.
It's not full of just memes
No.
like the the CLG Discord. It's just
Yeah, so it's not too big. You can actually have a conversation.
Yes, exactly. It's fun times. All right, guys.
All right, so this has been Nefarious. If you want to find me, you can find me on my Twitter at just NEFARI0USS.
Yeah.
And Archon, where can they find you?
They can find me at Artron1680 on Twitter.
And your Twitch?
My Twitch, same thing. Twitch.tv/Artron1680. Streaming video games and cooking from time to time whenever I can.
All right. And I guess that's all for this week. This has been the CLG Faithful Podcast. We're signing off.
Peace.